Okay, one of the first things I tell anybody: don't retire. I'm not saying
You
work at
don't
the
mean
crack of
that, do
eight.
you? What do you really mean when you say don't retire?
What I'm really saying is find something you like to do and keep doing it. Do not say, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go home and sit, because that's the first thing going to kill you. You talk about the
Right.
brain dying, that's it.
Menopause has long been shrouded in secrecy, leaving many clueless, ashamed, and embarrassed to seek and extend support for one of the most natural transitions and rite of passage. Well, the spirit and mood have changed. People are surrendering to curiosity, knowledge, and empowerment. In this podcast, I'll share my own experiences and point of view, peek into the lifestyle and self care practices of people experiencing menopause, and tap experts for their take on the pausal phase. This is for you if you are one of the millions of people in the menopausal phase or want to support them. I'm Dixie Lincoln Nichols, health and well-being educator and wellness founder. This is the Pause Pod.
Welcome, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Pause Pod. I am thrilled to have you here. I'm super excited for this conversation today because I love having talks and chats with people who've experienced extenuating health circumstances and have come out on the other side. Such is the case with my guest today. After 25 years in corporate America, she retired and implemented her Plan B, which is helping others to regain their health. She's a certified master health coach specializing in type 2 diabetes. In her quest to answer the question, why is positive health changes so fleeting for many, she embarked on further learning, obtaining certificates in Master Linguistic Programming, also known as NLP, and transformational coaching. Her lived experience with brain health led her on a challenging journey that has produced stellar results. And ultimately, she shifted her focus to helping others navigate their own brain health challenges. I'm super excited for this conversation, and I know you will be too. Welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Pause Pod. I'm super excited to dive into your menopausal journey and brain health, for you to tell us about your brain health and all of the things that you do to enhance and optimize brain health for yourself and for your clients. So, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, Dixie. I am so excited to be here, and just love what you do in terms of helping women, especially our Black women, on this journey that we all have to go through, and just finding ways to make it easier, giving out good information, stuff they can rely on. It's really important. So, congrats to you on that also.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, one of the reasons I brought you on is because before I start bringing on quote unquote experts, I want to
Mm-hmm.
really tap into people who are experts but are also experiencing menopause, have
Mm-hmm.
been there, done that, and are going through the process and have experiences to share. And one of the things that I love about you is the fact that you take brain health so seriously because of your own circumstances. In 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, you had a brain health course. And I was in my late 40s, approaching 50, understanding that menopause was right around the corner and some of the things related to it. I wanted to start early to address some of the things that I know can be impacted as a result of the ebbing of our very important superhero hormones. And you had this amazing course. I took the course, and it was one of the best things that I have done for my brain health because it's set me on this course to optimize my brain
Mm-hmm.
function and not thinking that, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not old or I'm not aging. And so it doesn't matter. I don't have to wait until I'm 70 to optimize my brain health. I can start right now. So in my late 40s is where I started, thanks to you, not only to your course, but also because of your experience that you have and the personal experience you have and the expertise that you have garnered along the way as a health and wellness coach.
Yes.
So let's start with a bit about yourself. Share with us a
Mhm.
bit about yourself, what led you down the road to health coaching, and what led you down the road to teaching people about optimizing brain health.
Well, Dixie, thank you again. So, I am a 65-year-old woman who is postmenopausal. And my menopause journey and how I even became a health coach and started really learning more about the body and how it works, and the way that our the body has homeostasis where it naturally tries to heal itself, was very interesting. At 28, I think I had to have emergency surgery. And that emergency surgery was because I'd gone to my GYN, everything was fine. And then 4 days after, I had to have an emergency surgery to take out a cyst that had blown up to almost like the size of a ball on my ovaries. Honestly, I didn't even know that my whole ovary was removed, the left one. I had my last child at 36, and went into full blown menopause at 42. The mere fact that I had already lost the ovary, that means my body was not producing enough of anything. And the fact that I only had one caused me to go into early menopause. Now, I was miserable. Dixie, when I tell you, I was waking up at 5 in the morning, vaginal dryness, hot sweats, everything. And lucky for me, I had one of the best GYNs who was a full fledged doctor, but she was also into functional medicine. She was also into making sure that you're not on a lot of drugs and that kind of stuff. You can find a natural way to do things. She would do that. When I went to her and complained about what was going on, she told me she wanted me to do a saliva test. So, I mean, that was different because I've never done a saliva test before. Didn't really know at the time what the connection was between a saliva test and all your hormones in your body, right? So I did this test. I had to spit in this thing 2 times, one in the morning, one in this afternoon in this little box, send it off to this lab, and it came back. And I have the test results right here with me. They're still
Wow.
here. I still have them because I show my clients that I actually went through this stuff, right?
Right.
But what was striking about it, it showed that I had high estrogen, high cortisol, and no progesterone. And then more than anything, it was showing me what kind of hormones was missing from my body. High cortisol, high estrogen, but no progesterone. So didn't have any of the modulating hormones that would tone down those hormones. So it created all those symptoms: waking up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, can't get back to sleep, hot flashes, brain fog, all the symptoms that you talk about all the time in your podcast was what I was experiencing. So what she did as a functional doctor, instead of putting me on that horse urine stuff that most doctors were at that time were telling the women to take, that eventually they used a study and showed it was causing heart attack in women, she made me go to a compounding pharmacy that compounded for me a topical cream that had the progesterone, a little bit of testosterone, and a little bit of the different type of estrogens, because you have three different types of estrogens,
Right.
right? Estradiol and so forth. And that was what I used as a topical that actually got me through menopause beautifully until I became postmenopausal. This was not a replenishment that went through your digestive tract. It was stored in your fat cells. So you put it on your butt or the back of your legs or your arm where you have a little bit of fat. And then when the body needs it, it pulls what it needs. So it wasn't really going through your digestive system. It was topical. And it made 100% difference for me. As a kid from Jamaica, right? I always wanted to be in medicine. I have a degree as a lab tech from Jamaica. When I came to this country, I couldn't use it. So I went into accounting, which was my next skill set. But I always wanted to deal with people, explaining food to them and why food is medicine and all the stuff that about your body, and learning how wonderful the body is as a machine, because it just has everything in it if you treat it right to take care of you. I understand that menopause is a natural thing for all of us to go through. I also understand that the body loses its ability to create some of the hormones that we need that help let that transition be less frightful or painful or miserable. So I think it's really important that women understand that you can do stuff. There are things you can put in place. There are things you can take. There are foods you can eat that will help you make that transition easier and more comfortable. And a lot of it depends on how you treat yourself. It's really important that you make yourself a priority all through your life, but especially at that stage, you're number one.
Gotcha. So you said that the functional doctor you went to formulated a prescription for you based on your unique set of needs and symptoms,
Results.
results. Was it bioidentical hormone
It was
therapy?
bioidentical hormone. It went to a compounding pharmacy, and she told them what to put in the prescription.
Got it. And this is what you used right up until you went into postmenopause. Now, that's interesting that you would say you took it until postmenopause, meaning that you took it until you stopped seeing a period after you had your year of not
And
having a period, you stopped taking it.
well, I reduced how much I take. At this stage of my life, the body didn't need it that much anymore, right?
Got it.
It
Got
was
it.
just enough to modulate symptoms and make sure that my sex life was still good. Moisture, that's a whole problem right there. So it
Right.
created the moisture that I needed. It's good for your heart because you're going to remember when you don't have the estrogen and the progesterones, it can lead to heart problems and it can lead to other problems in your life, your brain also.
Okay, no, this is really good information because I think also one of the things that we have to say, I feel like I should say, is that you went to a functional doctor and your
Absolutely.
treatment was regulated and supervised by a functional doctor. You didn't just go and decide, I'm going to take A,
No.
B,
As
C, or
a matter of
D.
fact, Dixie, let me stop you. She's a regular doctor. She was trained as a regular medical doctor. She also got trained as a functional doctor. As a matter of fact,
Right.
they used to call her the quack at the medical
Mm,
hospital. Yeah. Yeah.
did they really? Wow.
But seriously, she was intelligent enough, wise enough to understand what women needed. She's a
Right.
woman. She knows what her body needed. And
Right.
she wasn't afraid to prescribe that to her clients. I could have said to her, nah, I'm not gonna do that. But I also educated myself. Right. I'm from a place where you drink hot tea and you have a detox every as children growing. They call it detox now. We used to call it taking herb tea. All the stuff that they're
Well, a
now
purge.
a purge, all the
Yeah.
stuff that they're now elevating is stuff we grew up on, right?
Yeah. Indigenous
So
foods and indigenous customs.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew from my background that this stuff worked because she didn't just say, go do this. She explained it. She explained what it did to your body. She said what you were lacking and why. She was telling me that your cortisol, by this report, you could see the graph that cortisol was rising at 4 in the morning when it's supposed to be rising about 2 hours later. And there was
Hence the
nothing
sleep disturbance.
a sleep disturbance. So you wake up, you're tired, you have to go to work. You wake up at 3 or 4, and you by 6 o'clock you want to go back to sleep, but you have to get up and go to work. So you go to work tired, and it's a compounding effect all day. And you're doing this for months. No wonder we're miserable.
Did that series of medication help support your sleep, your sex drive, and all of the other complaints
A
or
hundred
symptoms
percent
of decreasing
hormones.
estrogen and
Yes.
progesterone, right?
Because now I was replacing what my body needed.
Right.
Right? I was replacing what it needed. So it modulated everything so I could sleep at night. I wasn't getting any more hot flashes. I wasn't waking up at 4 in the morning anymore. It didn't happen immediately. It takes a little while for your body to start accepting what it needed. But once that happened, I could tell people, I'm not having those symptoms.
Did you take it every day?
3 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
back of the leg, back of the arm, on your stomach. You can put, and then you change your places. You don't
Right.
just use one place all the time. I moved around on my body. It was
Got it.
fat soluble, so it got into your fat,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
when the body needed it, took it.
All right. So that's bioidentical hormone replacement.
Hormone,
Got it. Okay.
yes,
So that's pretty interesting. And I love talking to people who have different point of views because again, like I said, you have the no-nos for the HRTs, you have the no-nos for the BHRTs. There's something for
yes.
everyone, is what I like to say. So
That's
figure out
and
what's right for you. And, like one of the prior guests said last week, figure out what's sustainable for you as well. Yeah.
I trusted her diagnosis. I trusted her knowledge. I trusted her as my GYN and doing my own research because I didn't just take her word for it. I went and
Right.
looked up myself because that's what I do. And
Yeah.
it was the best course of action for me. And I tell women all the time, I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but I'm just letting you know there's knowledge out there. You need to read and understand and then make a choice for yourself.
So how are you feeling now? Do you still have any menopausal symptoms? You said you are 65. So are you experiencing hot flashes? How's it for you?
Every once in a while I would, it's like a little reminder that says oops, but I still have my stuff. I still
Mm.
use it.
Are you using
No,
it
no,
constantly?
no,
Okay.
not
Okay.
constantly.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Sharon. People deserve to hear what other women are experiencing because there are a lot of women out there thinking, I'm going through this alone. There's nobody else feeling this way. There's no one else experiencing this. I promise you, so many people are experiencing similar symptoms, experiencing similar effects of menopause, which is why it's good to come into community and listen to what each other have to say. We can learn so much from one another. We're going to move on to an illness that you've experienced. You mentioned that you had an ovary
Ovarian
removed
surgery.
in
Right.
your 20s,
Yeah.
but later on, correct me if I'm wrong, in your 50s, you were diagnosed with an unknown brain, I have to say phenomenon, because based on what you've told me, nobody seems to know what's going on. Tell us
Yes.
about it.
Yes. Okay. So 2008, I'm getting headaches. You got to go to your primary, then they got to send you to the specialist. So get to the neurologist. They took a scan of my brain. They saw some white spots. The doctor do all the neurological tests that they do, standard stuff. Nothing wrong neurologically. Come back in a year, doesn't see anything wrong. You see a lot of people in my age group with white spots on their brain. Okay.
Now, people, women, or just people,
He
period?
said people. He didn't say
Okay.
women in particular in that case. So I myself went out and did some looking around, and actually there wasn't a lot of information out there at the time, right? There really wasn't. So I went back for the next test, and nothing had changed. So there was nothing. Nobody took it seriously. I didn't even at the time take it seriously, to be honest with you, because I couldn't find any real information. So actually, almost 12 years later, 2008 to 2018, headaches again. So in the meantime, I became a health coach. Right, totally changed my diet. Totally changed how I live. Period. The only oils that I use in my house are coconut, avocado, which I normally bring back when I travel, going back to some basic stuff about how I treat myself and how I eat. Mostly organic food. I do eat some meat, not a lot. So I am getting these headache. Go to my primary doctor. She said, "No, nothing wrong." I say, You remember a couple years way back they saw some spots on my brain. I want to see what if anything has changed." Did another MRI. The spots had changed. So now I have to go to a neurologist. Okay. So from 2018 to 2022, I've been going through tests, spinal tap, multiple MRIs, genetic testing, nothing. The neurologist I go to is an MS specialist. She showed me my brain in a picture, and she showed me an MS brain. You don't have MS. I went to Dr. Amin in New York. He's one of the top brain person. He deals
Yes.
with a lot of those football players that get this brain stuff. Went to him. He told me I was AHDD, but high functioning
High function ADHD.
ADHD.
I saw him on Diary of a CEO podcast.
Okay. Nothing really happening there. It didn't. I don't think we dug deep enough. So I did all this testing until it reached to a stage now they didn't have anything else to do. She's basically telling me they've done all that testing that they can do. If I want to go to another hospital in Philadelphia, I said, what are they going to do different? The same test all over again? That's not going to help me. So she said only the next option is a biopsy. That didn't sit well with me at all. There's a deeper MRI you can do that actually just looks at your vessels. They didn't see anything wrong with my vessels. So the guy she recommended me to go to, his only conversation was when was I going to set up the appointment to get the biopsy? At that stage, I told him I'm going to dig deeper on a functional level, see a functional doctor, and I'll see him in 6 months, right? So I did. I went to a functional doctor. In between the time, Dixie, I've read books like crazy. Why is my brain not working? Dr. Harazan did Dr. Tom O'Brien, You Can Save Your Brain. Read. There's so much information out there on brain health. Because you must remember, at one point, they thought the brain was closed. That means whatever neurons you got, that was it. When they die off, you're dead. Okay. And the only way before they could even test and see what's going on in the brain, they only tested people who were dead. They only looked at those brains that were some people have Alzheimer, dementia, all that stuff. So that's the information they had until they realized, wait, neuroplasticity. The brain can renew itself just like how every other part of your body can heal and renew itself. So they have degeneration and they have neuroplasticity. So now there's more information. They're wiser, but the medical system is still stuck in one place. I started going to this functional doctor. So the first thing that was recommended for me was to do a neural boomer. It's a type of test that you don't get to the regular doctor. Neural boomer and a gluten boomer. They wanted to look at my stomach. You know, everything starts in the gut, right? They wanted to look at what was going on in my stomach and how that's affecting the rest of my body. So I went and did this blood test, and then when the results came back, it was a 42-page document of just about every virus I ever had, every anything that was in my body that doesn't was there. And it showed me that I was allergic to gluten, and I had been allergic to gluten probably all my life, and I had reached a stage where it was attacking, and I created antibodies that were attacking my brain.
Let me ask you, let me just back up for a minute so that we understand. So the antibodies that was created to deal with the gluten was causing the white spots on your brain. Now, what were the white spots on your brain?
They called actually it was actually my neurons being demyelinated. There were 7 spots, and it was the same 7 spots. No more spots had formed. Those 7 spots I got bigger. Myelin, it's a fat that covers your axons that helps to transmit messages. So they were being demyelinated, and that was what inflammation. That's what your body produced to protect you, right? But when it's too much, it causes other problems. So because the body saw, in a lot of ways, I had leaky gut. So it was leaky because your muscles for your gut look like this. And when it's leaky, they start to separate and foods get into your bloodstream. And that created that cascade of attack because the body's going to attack because it sees an invader. But all it boiled back to was the gluten that was causing, because I'm allergic to it, it created that allergic reaction, which is the building up of antibodies. And then it reached a state now where it was disease forming.
Got
So
it.
that was the first part of the diagnosis, getting rid of gluten. And I have been off gluten now probably 2.5, going on 3 years now. So no gluten. I still eat some dairy, not a lot. I try to go right back to nature. That's where I came from. That has made a big difference because my neurologist, who I've done 3 more brain scans since I've changed, is telling me this is a miracle. She's never seen this before.
What has she never seen before?
She's never seen the progress that I've had before. Normally, when people have that stuff, they don't do what I do to go out and find another reason why. To change everything, change the diet, change everything to make sure that I'm eating to support my brain. The tests that I did with the functional doctor showed me what I had to stop doing. It's not that gluten is bad, it's bad for some people. That was the first thing I eliminated. And then the second thing now is to maximize all my hormones. So I'm going through a different protocol to make sure all the hormones that sustain a healthy brain are being maximized. So I'm going through a series of that. Now that's another podcast. I'll tell you. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
because I was going to ask
that.
you, how do you know what
Tests.
your
Do that.
hormone
Yes.
level should be at your age? Like,
Exactly.
how do you
Exactly.
know that? And
I
what's the barometer for that?
the doctor that I'm going to, did I bring his book down? No. Oh yes. One of the best guys in the business of brain health.
Breaking Alzheimer's.
Yes. Yes. So he does a test that looks at the different levels of vitamin D, certain fats, all the stuff that supports your brain. And when there are missing parts to it, there is a protocol that he has developed that actually replaces that stuff. So my myelin is growing back.
Awesome. That's incredible.
But the killer thing is this, and why I developed my brain course is that a normal person going into a medical system with maybe the same symptoms I had how are they going to know what to do? But also, a lot of the thing that I also learned, I didn't learn until I went to a functional doctor who looks at your body differently. Everything you eat has an effect on your body, good or bad. So you have to eat good food to build your building blocks.
Got it. So the conclusion was that it was the
The
gluten.
conclusion.
What's the next thing?
The next stage of my journey is looking at my different hormone levels to make sure that I have the hormones in there that support my heart health, that support my brain health, make sure those things are maximized. Is there any other viruses in my body? Even that herpes virus, not the vaginal herpes virus, that regular herpes virus can
Mhm.
attack you. What kind of viruses I've had since I was a child growing up that are still in causing damage in my body, that are some things are dormant, but she says they all create their own hormones. So all those things have to look at through those tests that I did. The tests weren't cheap. They were nearly $1,000.
Right. So these are tests that you're currently going through, so you don't know the outcome yet.
I have the results of all the tests I've gone through and what is depleted in my body and what needs to improve. I'm on a cascade now of different vitamins and minerals that I'm taking.
I'm interested to know what effect has the loss of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone had on how you are,
Think about this for me though. I didn't lose it per se. I replaced it.
right? Because you were on the BHRT.
That goes under BHRT. But for someone who don't do anything and they lose it, they could go into heart problems because that's what it eventually lead to. Brain health, the brain fog, and all the stuff that they were thing. You remember, and you got to remember another thing, which I want to make sure I make this connection. Your brain and sleep, because sleep is not just sleeping. There is a whole process that goes on in your life when you're sleeping. The fluids in your spinal column comes up and floods the cranium's open, floods it and take out any smudge, any stuff. So if you're not getting good sleep and that builds up over time, you're
Mm,
slowly dying,
right.
right? Because your body's not being cleansed. You know what I mean? The mechanism that was created has been interrupted. So what I'm saying is that if you're not replacing your hormones or doing things to modulate that, and you're going through this process of not getting enough sleep, lack of estrogen, lack of progesterone, high cortisol, which can create heart problems, you are setting yourself up for misery in a lot of ways and probably a
Right.
shorter lifespan.
Right. And I think it's also important to note this for people who are listening. There is a uniqueness to human beings, and we are all diverse people. So that may be the case for some people. It will not be the case for everybody. So don't
Everybody,
go
that's true.
panicking and thinking, oh, this is what's going to happen to me if I decide not to do this or if I decide not to do that.
Right.
No, I think the most important thing for people to do is have great medical partners. And I call them partners because
That's
you
exactly
work
what they are.
together. They are your partners. They are not your superiors. They know more than you in a specific field. They are experts, yes, but
Yes.
they are there for your well being. Ask the
Dr. Leonid,
questions.
Dr. Leonid was my partner in
Right,
the true
right.
sense of the word because I could have said, yo, what kind of foolishness you telling me?
It's
And
important to know your body.
exactly. And what she recommended for me proved 150% right.
Right. So you found the right course of action for you and everything that was going on with you because you took the initiative. You went out, you got your blood tests, you got your works, you know what was happening, you got your diagnostics,
Hmm.
and you treated your body based on the deficiencies that showed up in your blood work.
Correct.
Hence the reason blood work is so important. And I tell people all the time before you
Yes.
embark on
Oh,
a
yes.
supplement regimen and any kind of medicinal regimen, whether it's natural or synthetic, pharmaceutical, go get your blood work.
As a matter of fact, I did blood tests every year. And I firmly believe the only way you know what's going on in your body is if you test to find out what it is.
And this is also proof that people who complain about medical professionals aren't anti medical professionals. We just want them to do the right thing
Of course, by
for
you.
your
And I
health and
mean,
your well being, right? We are
exactly.
pro medical professionals. Those medical professionals are the ones who recommend these tests a lot of the times and have more ability to recommend even more developed
But
testing,
I'm
right?
going to give you a joke. So my functional doctor, because you know functional doctors don't get paid from the system, from the medical system, right? You have to pay them with your own money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because
she
insurance doesn't accept it.
in
Yeah.
terms of that, so she recommended some tests for me to get done. So I said, okay, let me ask my doctor, my regular doctor. There weren't any crazy tests. It was a virus cascade and yeah, a virus cascade. She wanted me to test, and I asked my regular doctor to do it. She said no because I'm not sick.
Case in point, this is
Case
the
in
system that
point.
we're dealing with. You have to be sick
Exactly.
in order to get attention as opposed to being preventative, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They
Which is
don't
why
want you to.
menopause doesn't get attention because they
You're not
don't
sick.
see it.
They
Right.
consider.
Well, it's not a sickness
No,
even,
it's
but
not a
they
sick.
don't even see it as something worth their time and their efforts, right?
Exactly.
When
Exactly.
it's clear based on your situation that we need more research. We need
And we
research.
need more research on Black women.
Yes. Yes. I think every race needs to have tests based on their
They're
specific race.
we were having the same conversation about white blood cells that
Right.
Black people in general seem to have
That they seem
lower
to have. They do. And I have my own experience about that. They certainly
lower
do.
white blood cells, right?
Yeah, not just that, bone density
Oh,
too,
that's
it's based on
exactly,
white women, right?
exactly.
Evidently, more research is needed across the board in every single aspect for bone health, for brain health, for heart health, for diabetes,
Definitely.
for menopausal
Mhm.
signs and symptoms and affects everything, but we're not getting that.
Also, I really think we as women and Black, how you have to educate yourself. Understand we have access to every kind of information now and listen to good podcasts. But it's very important that you know what you feel and you don't second guess yourself sometimes because believe me, that's what will happen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's what
Um,
education is all about,
that's what
really, like
education
you
is all
said.
about.
Mhm.
You have to be your own advocate. You really do.
Right. Let's get into some of the brain health education that you specialize in.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned at the top of the podcast, I took a brain health course with you during the pandemic,
Hmm.
and it was absolutely wonderful. It was 6 weeks,
Yes, it was six.
and 6 weeks. And things that I did not consider before, I started to consider in terms of optimizing my brain health. Simple things that I do to this day in order to sustain
Hmm.
my brain health because I do get the brain fog. It's not a lot, but I do get it. And
Hmm.
so I know that there are things that I can do, and not only just the brain fog and things during menopause that are occurring, but things that will happen because of aging, not necessarily that they must happen, but if I'm not optimizing my brain, they're more likely to happen, right? And if I'm not
Hmm.
optimizing my brain, if there's a genetic predisposition to something, I may more likely see a
You're not
turn
sick.
on in a cell and might start
Yeah.
to exhibit some of those symptoms. And I don't want that. So I
Hmm.
want to do what you've said.
Hmm.
What is at stake for our brain health as we age? Whether it's because of menopause and the loss of estrogen, because we know loss of estrogen has an effect on the amygdala and the hypothalamus. What is at stake for our brain?
Okay. The first one of the first things I tell anybody: don't retire. Not. I'm not saying
You
work
don't
until
mean
you're
that, do
8.
you? What do you really mean when you say don't retire?
What I'm really saying is find something you like to do and keep doing it,
Right, right,
right?
right,
Do not say, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go home and sit because that's the first thing going to kill you. You talk about
right.
the brain dying, that's it,
Yeah.
right? Whatever you're not good at, keep doing it. If you were never a good dancer, go dancing. You're building neuroplasticity because you're teaching your brain. You always have to be exercising your brain. Make sure you do at least 5 to 7 minutes of aerobic exercise every day. You got to get that blood flow into your brain because if the blood it does not flowing, no nutrients is not getting into your brain because your food goes in your blood, right? Eat the best you can, the best quality of food you can. Eat good fats, making sure your vitamin D is optimal. Vitamin D is a lifesaver. And don't take synthetic vitamin D. Exercise, have a growth mindset, have a gratitude mindset, be kind to yourself. No stinking thinking, as Leonetti said. Stop the stinking thinking, right? That's what she told me. No stinking thinking. No comparison.
Love
No
that.
You
Love
are
that.
a beautiful human being. And just remember that the body's always working to be the best it can be. What it needs from us is the support. What it needs from us is making sure that we're giving it what it needs, whether in food, sleep, sunlight, exercise, just calming, all those things that enhances you.
So
That's what I
specifically, let's go over some of those things because I want people to really hear some of the specific things that they can do and should be doing to optimize their brain health. So let's go over some of them.
Okay. So eating good fats. When I'm saying
These
good
good
fats, I
fats,
mean
healthy fats,
omega-3 fatty acids,
right?
right? Stuff like olive oil, good olive oil, coconut oil,
Hmm.
ghee, if you're
Hmm.
dairy, if you can eat dairy. None of those other oils, sunflower oil, canola oil, all that stuff that's got to go through this big synthetic process. You want cold pressed oils. The body knows what to do with that. And the brain is a fat bomb. It likes fat,
Right.
not
Yeah.
sugar, fat for energy.
So that's good. I love that. So those are some of the nutritional things in terms of sustenance that we can do for our brain. What about some of the things that are non-nutritional that we can do for our brain to support it every single day?
Exercise. I
Okay,
mean,
right. So
we all
exercise.
get lazy sometimes. I do too, right?
Yeah, so
But
do I.
I know there's a scientific YouTube video, 7 minutes. That's all it is. 7 minutes. It will get your heart rate up. You can hold on to a chair if you can't do some of the exercise, but you need to do that because the brain needs oxygen. It needs oxygen. It needs the blood flow, and the only way the blood comes up is that you got that heart pumping. So that's one of the exercise I recommend in the course. It's not a long
Mhm.
thing. Just treat that as something you have to do for your body. Go out in the morning and get some sunlight so you can get set your sleep rhythm, your circadian rhythm, right? I'm saying it right? I don't remember.
Yeah,
So
circadian rhythm. Mhm, you got it.
yes, because it's important, right? The body, the sunlight sets that rhythm in your eyes every day, every day. And sleep is one of the things I'm telling you. 8 hours of sleep. I'm bad too. Okay, I'm not telling gonna lie. Because when I work best at night, and when I start working, I don't want to stop. Right. So I have to force myself. Your mindset. You're not good enough. We don't want that. We're all beautiful people. God made us in his image. That's what they tell us, but I tend to want to believe it. Right? And we're here for a purpose. Find something that you love to do and be grateful you're alive and be grateful that you have a home, you have a family, you have friends. You wake up I wake up every morning and all I say is thank you. I mean, seriously, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And you take that through your day. You take
Yeah.
that gratitude through your day. A lot
I
of
love
people don't live to
that.
see 65.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the things that I took away from your course, and I used to do it before, but now I'm like on top of it. As a matter of fact, I can just reach over.
Puzzles, right? Exercise and stuff. You
Listen,
puzzle. Yes,
listen.
yeah, of course.
My crossword puzzles, my
Exactly.
Sudokus.
Exactly.
I even do Mad Libs because I like Mad Libs a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
And just to keep my
Using your
brain.
using your left hand to do things that you
Yes, I
you just
use my left actually started practicing writing with my left hand and it's gotten so much
exactly.
better
Yes.
because like you said, we neuroplasticity, we are training our
Training it.
brain.
So part of keeping that brain working and get building strengths and new neural pathways and stuff is practicing.
Yeah,
Keep that
yeah.
brain active.
I love that. Yeah, my grandmother is 89 years old and she is constantly doing her word search and her Sudoku. She does the easy ones.
Hmm.
She's crocheting and or knitting and doing all these things that keeps her mind active. And so I
Exactly.
feel like that's one of the most important things we can do. And that was one of the big takeaways from your course for me that I still today
Hmm.
continue to do on a very consistent
Basis.
basis.
Another
Yeah.
thing I tell people: nurture something, whether it's a dog, a cat, or some flowers. Grow
Hmm.
something.
Some plants.
Yes.
So, what are three self care rituals that you practice every day to support you? It doesn't have to be every day, but what are three?
One of the things I do, I have plants around me and I nurture my plants. I grow a garden every summer to make sure that, I walk outside barefoot I mean, it may sound hokey pokey, but it's been proven that there's energy in the earth, and when you walk, that energy goes
And
in your body,
minerals, and minerals.
and minerals that goes in your body.
Depending on the soil, yeah, you got to find good soil.
Yeah,
That's the
but
next thing.
my garden has not had any chemicals for donkey years, so
Oh,
it's
there
pretty
you go.
cool,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Every morning I get up. It's a breathing exercise, and at the same time, while I'm doing that breathing exercise, I'm being thankful. I do exercise, and I'm extremely careful about what I eat. I understand that the food you eat is the building block of your cells. So if you're eating good food, you'll have stronger cells, right? So I make sure that whatever I put in my mouth is nutritious. And if it's not, I will not eat. There's nothing wrong
Mm.
with not eating, it's Ayurvedic that sometimes you need to make your body rest. I'm serious.
I
When I
know
was
that.
in India for
Yeah.
that 1 month of learning,
Only if it's good for you, okay? No, that's why know your body. Know your body,
exactly.
okay?
But we can miss a couple meals.
Yeah.
Seriously. But those are the things, and just just trying to have a positive outlook in life. We're bombarded with so much ugliness now. It's hard, but you have to try and make sure your mind is stays in a positive light.
So, Sharon, how can we stay in touch with you, stay connected with you, and follow your journey? Or perhaps when you decide to launch that course again, which I've been asking you to because I want to take it
Well,
again.
I'm actually working on the course. I'm
Mm,
updating it with some new information that has happened since 2000. And when did I do it? 2022, 2021.
right.
There's some new information that I've been learning, and I'm updating the course. It's gonna be, the next launch is gonna be in an app, so I am
Mhm.
working on that. My website, Brain Centreat, BrainCentreat life, LIFE.com, is my brain website where you can learn a lot about me, read my story. The courses are there, but I'm not selling courses right now. I'm revamping the courses, and that's it. I mean, you
Are
can
you
find
on social media?
me,
What about Instagram? What's your
Brain Centric Life. They're the same follow through to the website. Same thing on Instagram.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey, and your insights around menopause and brain health. It is so important. I cannot express the importance of addressing brain health. I wish you all the best and
Thank
continued
you. Thank you for
success in
having me.
health, longevity, and vitality, and the best results from those new tests that you're doing. I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to have you come back and share with us
Okay.
how that
How that
went.
is going. Yes.
Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the Pause Pod. I appreciate you. I will see you again on the next episode. Until then, let's perimenopause and prosper.